how do you even start one of these things? Introduction, maybe. Um, my name is Ian. I am 28 years old. I'm obviously from the United States based on my accent, and I thought it would be a good idea to, for one, practice my speaking skills, but mainly I did this like a couple years ago where I kind of give a brief synopsis on my career as a machinist and my opinions on manufacturing on the western side of the earth, at least by modern standards, being in the West, in North America. Um, uh, Machining, being a machinist, it's heavily involved with making products out of um, metal, aluminum, steel, bronze, stainless steel, graphite, Delrin, plastics, you name it. It's mainly what we call subtractive manufacturing or reductive manufacturing, where you're starting off with a solid piece of metal, and it could be a square, it could be a cylinder like this, and you are literally like taking material off and making a nice it could be a tool, could be whatever. um and there's not a lot of young people in this trade or in this industry, and it's very alarming and a little disconcerting, especially living here in North America. Specifically, I live in New Hampshire, which is like the far, yeah, this on your screen, the far northeast of the United States, near Boston. Um, it's I say it's disconcerting, not for the lack of support. I think a lot of industries are willing to take in people or young men and women out of high school or out of community college to become interested in this career path. But it's just finding those people and retaining them in a comfortable working environment, which is proving to be very difficult for a lot of corporations for a lot of reasons that I will go into later. Um, I don't have a script for this at all. If you look in the reflection of my whiteboard, it's just the reflection of myself and nothing. I I thought about. I'm sure I've had a script in my head for a long time, but it doesn't matter. It's what are the main points of like what I'm trying to talk about tonight? I would say like the future of manufacturing, from my point of view at least, what I've experienced and what I think the future holds in the scope of the defense industry and the service industry, meaning like the industry that makes repair parts or new pieces for the equipment that brings food to your table. There is the manufacturing behind the scenes is it's so grand, it's so present, it's fascinating, it's awesome. I'm not going to sit here and be the gatekeeper and um try and like romanticize it or make it seem like it's cooler than it is. It is a bunch of nerds and like guys and girls, women and men that like working with their hands and thinking with their heads and finding solutions to problems that can only be achieved by making making a product out of metal or plastic or whatever to solve a certain problem in the industry. So, what types of okay? Before we get too deep, at a surface level, I'm talking the United States here, but the industry as a whole really is very global, and it's all really relative, and it depends on like in the United States, we might get our material, our aluminum or steel from Canada or South America or Europe, sometimes even Russia back in the before the invasion, sadly, in on Ukraine. So there's global things affect the metalworking and manufacturing industry on a daily basis, and it's super interesting. I am very much a student of geopolitics. Uh, I frankly don't really care about politics. Uh, like from a people perspective, I care about it more for like what countries are working together with other countries and um how can that benefit us, how can that benefit you, things like that. And when a country like Ukraine or Russia get chopped out, it's a big deal, and there's going to be other suppliers of that material. It could be wood. Most of the time, it's steel, um, structural, or pipeline. And where else can you source that from? And I find that very interesting. It's very black and white, and I don't fully understand it. Like I said, I'm a very much a student of like geopolitics and uh, globalization as a whole, and you kind of have to be when you're in this like manufacturing world. Um, yeah. Uh, Without getting too crazy right off the bat, let's bring it down to like Barney level and maybe a little more of a peaceful introduction to like myself, I guess. Not to tell my whole life story, but um, I'm like I said, I'm 28 years old. I've been machining for professionally about 10 years now. I have a my associate's degree in precision manufacturing, which whoop-de-doo, super cool. I am just thankful that uh, obtaining this precision manufacturing associate's degree was available in my area, um, in New Hampshire through a community college program, and just very fortunate. I mean, we got to learn on CNC machines, um, Haas's like mini mills and SL10 lathes and stuff like that. But even before that, what really interested me getting into this machining business as we know it, like my biggest the point I bring up at the beginning of this video is like Like, why aren't people, kids, women and men, girls and guys, like interested in this machining business or manufacturing? It doesn't even need to be machining. There's so many more things now. Like, I'm open to new things, but being a machinist, it's I take these things to heart. And how do you get people interested in that? Um, I don't know. I happen to get involved in it at a really young age. I think I was like 14 years old. Um, my father, he's a ME, mechanical engineer, uh, but he's always been very talented with machine tools and mechanical things, mainly um, solving problems. That's like the car's busted, the furnace in the house is broken, there's a plumbing leak. Like, he can fix anything, which is remarkable. And that's really kind of like laid the groundwork for me growing up as a kid. I just wanted to be like him, and I realized pretty early on that um like I always thought engineer, yeah, that'd be awesome. uh, I see the the requirements academically, and I'm thinking to myself, I could go to school, college, take out a big loan, and piss away 4 years of my life for what? To get this degree? Me, Ian, not happening. Not at that age. Maybe nowadays as an older man, but at 18 to 22, I would have flunked out. I would have just partied the whole time and failed and wasted all of that potential and probably would have became nothing. So when I was about 16 years old, I was I was really into BMX bikes at the time, and I met this kid who he had machined his own BMX pegs. He was at the skate park, machined his own pegs. I was like I knew what machining was, but I never really like saw it in person. And seeing this kid with his machined pegs at the skate park, I just thought that was super cool. And so he was going to the our my hometown has my hometown is a city, two high schools. He was going to the other high school, and I was going to the opposite one. And I was like a freshman. He was like a junior or senior. He's a couple years older than me. Anyways, the BMX career didn't work out for me. I mean, I loved riding bikes and stuff, but um, I got my driver's license, lost interest, whatever. But around that time, 16 years old, that's when I really started to fall in love with like the manufacturing stuff. I remember always I always thought the lathe was like the coolest machine. So so I find out about this high school program, and I find out I can sign up for this program through my other high school and take a school bus every at the end of the day to the other high school for junior and senior year. Is awesome. You get to leave class early. You get to come back to class late after at the end of the day. Like, it's perfect. But anyways, um, yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, I get to leave class early. Or you like this is awesome. What it ended up turning into was like a much bigger deal than I thought it would. It affected me forever. For one, in my junior year, two things happened. One is I met this kid Alex, and uh, I'm sure I'll talk about him in much greater detail later. Anyways, me and him today are business partners fully. I'm actually in our shop right now, like recording this. He's overseas right now doing stuff and good things. And um, I we met junior year of high school. He was from a different town. I was from a different high school, and we both went to this other third high school to take this machining program. And we had this excellent teacher, Ed Panicetti, and we ended up having him sort of later on in life when we went to our community college. So we go through this high school program, junior year of high school, and it's super awesome. We get to run like lathes and Bridgeports, and we there was like just to paint you a visual. Um, Imagine about like a say a garage bay is about 20 feet wide by 30 feet deep. Imagine 40 feet wide by 60 feet deep. And we had, in the back, we had 6 Bridgeports or knee mills. And then in the front, we had 6 engine lathes. And we had a bandsaw. We had a welding room. We had everything. The only thing we didn't have was enough participation. So me and Alex were 2 kids. There was also a total of about 6 other kids, so like 8 kids or so in this machining program. I remember how I told you how I found out about this program at the skate park. They didn't advertise this program at all. By they, I mean the school district. I mean, I'm sure it was like at the bottom of like the things you could. I remember like finding it like machine tool technology 101 was like it was like the last option, and you had to go to a different high school to take it. And so, I mean, automatically it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is so hard to find anyways. Like, why? Like, obviously no one's going to take it. They're like, oh, you're a boy. You're going to take automotive, or you're going to take culinary. You're a girl. You're going to take whatever. I don't know. Like, as guys, it was like automotive, culinary, or like business classes. Like, there wasn't machining, wasn't on the radar on anyone. I remember like coming onto the school bus with like a part I made in my class with like holes drilled through it, and everyone in my school bus was like, what's that? Like, how do you like everyone takes wood shop or takes small engine repair, but machine shop was like sick. It was like, excuse my language, I thought it was super badass. Like, super cool. Like, you don't even know what this is. That's how cool it is. Like, to me, that was the selling point. Was this is so exclusive that there's only 8 of us in this whole class, right? So the end of junior year comes around. End of junior year. I remember it was in like the middle of the summer. We couldn't sign up for. Actually, it was right at the end of the year. Our teacher, Ed Panicetti, told us. He came. He sat us all down like the last couple weeks. Or it was way before that too. He gave us plenty of notice. It was like the last month. Mr. Panicetti said he sat all whatever 4 of us at that point. There was only like a few of us left. Me and Alex and a couple other kids. Sat us down. It said, it's not happening next year. and we say, like, what do you mean? What's not happening next year? This program had been going on for like 20 years. This equipment was so worn in. I mean, like, it had been there. It had been there since. Remember how I said there was two high schools? It had been there since there was only one high school, and the second high school was built in 2001. So this is like 15 years later. It just so happens that our machining program gets scrapped. So junior year of high school, it's a 2-year program, right? Junior year of high school, we see before our very own eyes the machine shop program gets canceled. And we're like, so now what, right? I mean, everybody's moving on to electrician 2, culinary 2, whatever, and we're in our trade, all 3 of us. It's like, now what? So, long story short, we end up getting rolled into the engineering class, which ended up actually being pretty sick. We got to our senior year. We did there was like scraps of the machine shop left. They sold all the equipment. They actually, I'm pretty sure they got rid of it like for free. All these like the 6 lathes, the 6 mills, were they worth that much money? No, but it's just like the fact that I wouldn't even be surprised if that stuff went to scrap. Like the way that program ended and we came in 2 months later and the shop was completely cleared out, I'm pretty sure they scrapped everything. I mean, they didn't donate them to the community college. Maybe they found they're like 6,000-pound machines, the lathes at least. These things were huge. The knee mills, the Bridgeports are like 2,500 pounds. I don't know what happened. I'm not gonna name the school district either because A, I don't want you to know where I live, and B, it's not the school district's fault. It's just the, I don't know whose fault it is. I think I don't know. It's not really anyone's fault. It's just, why is manufacturing so squashed? Like you have electricians, plumbers, all the trades you hear about in construction, but why is machining and machine shop this like weird outlier? Like, I don't know. So our senior year, we go through our the engineering program, which ended up being super cool. Like I said, we got to run SolidWorks and Mastercam. So the good part about our school district is we had really good leadership. What I mean by that is our leadership, and like our principals, worked closely with the community colleges, and they also worked closely with software companies like vis-a-vis community colleges. So like they would work through the community college, and the community college would give us licenses to use to have like 12 seats of SolidWorks or Mastercam. It's like $50,000. It's like in one seat of SolidWorks is like at least $3,000 a year. And we got a whole classroom, SolidWorks on every computer. Like that is insane. Like nobody, I think really, I didn't really appreciate that at the time. It wasn't until later in life, like now when we're getting into business, it's like, oh, like we're sweating $800 to get Fusion 360, which is a great software. But it was like looking back in high school, um, like like it's just incredible that we actually got that. I don't know if they're still doing that. I would assume so. Another good thing about our high school being so closely knit with our community college is we could take classes that um what you call it, we could get credits in college, like they called it Project Running Start. So this would be similar to culinary or automotive or whatever. If somebody took class or business took certain high school classes, usually like it usually applies to AP level classes. I did not take AP classes. This was like I was a stupid dumbass. But this was like trade school classes applied to trade school. Like you're able to save $2,000 on the other end if you take this class in high school and you go through this program in community college. And lucky enough for me, those two programs talked to each other and shook hands, whatever. And I go through into my freshman year at the community college. Same with Alex. And we didn't have to take those classes. We saved like a whole, like the introduction. We basically, in our case, it was the machine shop introduction class or whatever. Like this is a Bridgeport. This is how you take the chuck key out of the lathe before turning it on. Like, like the basic things. But it still saved, a lot of time mainly where we could take other gen eds in its place to eventually get our associate's degrees. But I was just really like the bottom line here is the school districts really need to look at what this school district did here, and what I'm explaining here, and do that. I realize I'm fortunate. I live within an hour of Boston. Like I'm not in this like super rural area in Maine or whatever, but I remember in the community college, one of my classmates commuted like an hour and a half away every day to go to this program. It's just there's not that many out there that offer this sort of thing. And but the this is all public school, by the way, and community colleges, like the cheapest route possible for any of this to take place. And it's yeah, not a lot of other school districts have the resources or the leadership or the principals or anything, or just like they don't live in an industrial town like I do. My city, it's an old there's canals all over the city that were man-made to power the mills. Like that's the type of place I grew up in, like heavy textile manufacturing, brick buildings, big arch windows, like just the old 1800s was like the peak of this area, right? So the manufacturing history is rich, and I hope I can like carry on that legacy, really. and teach the next generation about that and what it was like growing up in the 2000s, late 1990s. Um, I feel like the United States really needs to, not even the United States. It's nothing really to do with the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence or any of that stuff. It really has to do with capitalism as a whole. At the end of the day, what is the point of capitalism? To make as much money as possible. Now, there's a couple of things about capitalism that are great, but there's a couple of things that really stink too. So some of the good things about it are obviously like freedom of market and being able to buy stuff from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world for that matter. Um, Usually for the cheapest price, right? I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, the cheaper price always wins, but the it's it's not even like a quality thing anymore. It becomes like it's like we're buying the cheapest thing all the time. It's not I'm not even going to say the C word like China. It's not China's fault. It's not. You know what? You know whose fault it is? The bottom line, whose fault it is, like we're in the situation right now with our manufacturing industry, is the greed and the wealth of the 1990s. The mid to late 1980s and the 1990s is why why there's no machinists anymore. It You couldn't hold down a job in the 1990s. Everyone was outsourcing freaking liter this this bottle cap thing, like outsourced just to because that was just the culture of the 1990s. I didn't even grow up during that. I was born in 1995, but that that is my stance and my it is my opinion, but it really the 1990s were like a great time to live, very peaceful in the United States at least. Um, Very peaceful, very prosperous. Um, Lots of good good housing market, all that good stuff. But the whole point of this is just the manufacturing side of things, and I think it's kind of a double-edged sword of if you were to ask me, should we bring manufacturing back like fully to the United States? I would say no, because the only way we move forward, and by we I mean the earth, is by working together, which is hard for a lot of countries to do. It doesn't even need to be it doesn't have to do anything with democracy or anything like that. We're strictly talking about like uh, buying, selling, trading, bartering, whatever, tariffs. This has gone on for like 500 years, ever since the 1600s, really, when galleys were invented to move cargo from different country to different country. They ended up in North America and they thought it was India. Um, the point being is like globalization is here to stay, And um, unless all of you watching want to step up and start running mills like we did in the 1800s during the second industrial revolution, no, we're not really bringing manufacturing back, as everyone is so delighted to like celebrate that we're bringing manufacturing back to the States like they've been talking about it for the last 30 years. What does that even mean? Having school districts teach the kids about the values of manufacturing? No, because right now we're like so convinced that everyone needs to get a undergrad degree in whatever. I know I sound like Mike Rowe right now, but he has a lot of good points that are aging very well, like a fine wine. And it's I'm not saying getting your undergrad degree in engineering or medical field or science field, that's terrific. Like, that makes sense. But there's a lot of other degrees that are risky. Like, if you got your 4-year degree in some kind of agricultural science, perhaps, like, you might have to relocate to a different part of the country. Like, I lived in Arkansas for a year. It was freaking sweet. I loved it. But there's certain like career limitations, obviously, based on where you live. Probably the same in Canada, and definitely Europe, right? Certain parts of the country that are just not that career that you chose isn't gonna do you any good. So you have to keep that in mind. I'm not saying everyone should become machinists. It would almost become oversaturated because now there's so many different types of manufacturing. Like, we talked about subtractive manufacturing earlier, or reductive manufacturing, whatever you want to call it. Now there's 3D printing and even 3D welding, like 3D metal printing. Super awesome. But to kind of get us back on track here, what was really like, what's the whole point of all this, right? The way I see it in the last 10 years I've been doing this is I started out sweeping floors when I was 18, going to community college. Went through that community college program and started working full time when I was like 20. And boom, 8 years later, I've got fortunate enough to make a decent career out of it. But excuse me. But yeah, I mean, it was certainly a grind. It's similar to that of the culinary student. I always reference culinary because it's the same thing. You start here and you work up to here, and if you're talented enough, you can go from here to here. And that's basically what happened to me. Um, I, excuse me. Um, I started from the bottom, worked my way up a little bit, but I realized um, doing doing my homework, and by that I mean if you're not in a union, you can you can learn stuff on your own time about your own career. Even if you have a college degree or a certificate, you can become better than your peers and coworkers just by putting in the time at home, um, learning about new stuff. So for culinary, I don't know anything about cooking really. I'm pretty good at making pizza from scratch, but that's about the only thing. Um, but it's it's very similar to that. It's like learning how to be efficient, precision, time management, knowing the tools you need, being able to estimate times, being able to quote like time and materials, whatever, stuff like that. That's what makes you go from, from here to here up to like just blow by everyone, right? Um like I said, I'm 28 and I'm pretty sure most people that are I'm I'm not trying to like glow. This is just for reference for the video. Um I was a manual machinist for 6 years, um, more like 7.5 years, and until I was about 26. And then from age 26 to 28 was when I started programming CNCs and obviously doing the setup, programming, the engineering, all the back end work. A customer will send you, a 3D model of a whatever, and you're turning that into tool paths. You're figuring out what tools you need to buy. I'm I I've been working for this place that um I'm pretty much running the whole shop, minus doing like the front end work, I call it. Like I'm not calling customers, I'm not making quotes, but um I'm giving a second opinion on the quotes. I'm working closely with the purchasing managers, and I'm doing stuff that I feel as a 28-year-old, most people in my career that are at this level are probably in their mid 30s, and it's just bridging that gap, getting to that next step, which is really daunting and challenging, and it takes the 10 years of experience I have behind me now to be comfortable with that. And uh, I'm very proud of that. Like, and that's the only reason it's been possible for me and Alex to um, open up our own business. I mean, I guarantee Alex is such a strong person. He could have totally done it on his own. But I feel like I'm a very valuable asset because I have this insane amount of experience for a young age, but it's because I dedicated a lot of my time to it. If you're a professional snowboarder, one of my favorite sports, um, you found out you're really good at it, so you progress and you keep going after that. Or you're a drummer, my other favorite thing, right? Um, you find something you're good at and you stick with it. I wish I could be a professional drummer or snowboarder, but I'm not good enough. And I found out that I am really good at um, this machining stuff, and it's really it's fortunate that when I was 16 years old, I met that kid at the skate park, and he told me about his pegs he made on his bike on the lathe. And I that was like the moment that I figured out what I was going to do. I didn't know it at the time, and it sounds like uh, it sounds like I had it figured out since I was 16. Maybe I'll tell people that professionally, but for me to you, um, I was just hoping for the best, and it ended up working out. It really did end up working out in my favor. Um, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else other than this. And now, um, like just out here, we have our own machine shop with a couple of CNCs, very old. Um, we're not competing with anyone at this time. We're just starting. It's small. It's affordable. Alex and myself, we're working together. We have a couple of small customers, and um, to me, this is manufacturing is like it's my only shot at being like a professional athlete, or a professional whatever, drummer, snowboarder, uh, marathon runner. It's it's like it's it's hard to like find the words to convince other people to be interested in this trade, because it is very nerdy and boring, and like it's very behind the scenes. So I guess my final thoughts for this is like there's ladder rungs you need to climb up as in any career, but the manufacturing industry is it's gonna take off in the West, in North America, in the United States. It's gonna have to. Um, the greed and the selfishness of the 1990s are not gonna go unchecked. Um, the corporations are gonna have no choice. Like they can be greedy all they want, but when their vendors from Asia don't want to work with them anymore because we're potentially in a near peer conflict, um, who are they going to turn to? Uh, the the United States going to turn to itself? I don't know. I'm very fortunate that my school district here in New Hampshire afforded me and Alex the opportunity to go through that program and see for ourselves. We watched our program close down in front of our eyes and turn into nothing, turn into another automotive shop, turn into ruins after 30, 40 years, right? Just our luck. And we're like, is this really the career we want to be pursuing? And it's an eye opener. And now it's aged pretty well. At the time we thought it was funny, like, school's canceled, but now it's like, oh shit, the United States is kind of in a pickle. And I've done services to some place like when I said before I was living in Arkansas, I worked at this machine shop that fixed the factories around town in northwestern Arkansas. One of those places was a Dixie paper plant, and dude, that place was held together by like freaking band-aids. That company, Georgia Pacific, or I should say the leaders of the Dixie plant in Fort Smith, Arkansas, at least in the 2000s, sucked that place dry. And now the leaders that are there now have to deal with all of that greed. And that place is in rough shape. And like, you might be thinking, oh, they're just making paper plates. It's not a big deal, but it's the principle. Like, that's what all the other corporations are facing right now. Look at Boeing. I'm not tinfoil hat guy. This is just manufacturing analysis. That's really like that really that sums up most of my opinions on that stuff. I wish I knew more. I wish I had more information to like share or give opinions on, but that's all I'm really comfortable. It's really just my experiences and understanding how global things can have an effect and how history has the tendency to repeat itself, whether that be wars or whether that be the Great Depression. I don't know. But if I'll just leave you with this final thought, and this is an important one. Like, if the United States lost trade with China for whatever reason that might be, it could be war, it could be something like that, like it could be a natural disaster, it could be, but it's most likely probably going to be a war thing. Our way of life is going to be drastically altered, and it's going to be interesting seeing how the general population of the United States reacts to that. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be good. A lot of the tools and even frankly a lot of the materials we use in the manufacturing industry come out of East Asia, and even losing Russia as a trading, not that we did that much business with them, but it still affected the prices of a lot of shit, like even right now. It's just remember where your stuff comes from, and remember that it's not magic that it just ends up in your Amazon. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that makes that happen, and it could all come crumbling down tomorrow. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, China really likes selling stuff to us because it helps their economy, and we like buying their stuff because Americans are stupid, including myself. So just manufacturing is very dicey, and I hope it improves in the States. I really hope that it, in North America in general, that it can be, they always say bringing it back. We got to bring back the manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. I think there needs to be like a restructurement of the education system, and telling our 18-year-olds and 17-year-old kids like what the future is going to hold, cuz I don't know. I just I hope kids can make smart decisions, pick a career that is in demand, pick one that's not super competitive, and trying to find, even if if you can't find a career in the undergrad field that you like, look at associate's degrees. Be a dental hygienist. Become um, a safety coordinator at a construction site. Like there's so many weird jobs. You just got to find them, find something that you think you might be interested. The military too. Absolutely. Um, Alex, my business partner, is a Army veteran, and we're super proud of that. Um, just don't discount the trades. It doesn't need to be machining. It doesn't need to be uh, engineering. It just, yeah, like I said, don't just feel pressured to get an undergrad degree because that's what your parents told you to do. I am telling you, uh, pick something that you can live with yourself doing. Pick something that you can get a job in and that you can go home at the end of the day and be proud of what you're doing. And if you're 18 years old, maybe you're in your freshman year of college right now and you don't even know what to do. Get your gen eds done. Get 3.0 averages, and then you should be able to transfer those gen eds to community college, or definitely community college, are usually like lesser in stature. Um, do your gen eds, figure it out later. Just get good grades. Don't waste your money. Don't discount the trades. Get at least an associate's degree. Like that's what I got. I'm very happy that I got that. Um, and yeah, just take a minute and look at the world around you and make your own decision. Don't just make choices based on what your parents thought. I made all my choices based on what I thought. I'm the only kid in my family. I think there's two of us out of like 15 cousins. Only two of us that have an associate's degree. Everyone else has undergrad. And I'm proud of that. Like, I've made a good career. I've got a business going now, and I think you can do the same.